Okay, so there's this dark fantasy novel that's been making some serious waves. And it's one of those stories that starts, well, not with a call to adventure, but in the actual ashes of defeat. We're going to dive deep into Alchemized by Senlin Yu. I mean, just look at this cover. You can practically feel it, right? It's gothic, it's bleak, it's just dripping with a sense of dread. And it perfectly sets the scene for what this is all about. A woman who can't remember a thing, stuck in a world that has already lost its war against the darkness.
And then you get hit with this quote right out of the gate. The war is over. Holdfast is dead. The eternal flame extinguished. There's no one left for you to save. Wow. That line is delivered right to our main character, and it just instantly crushes any sense of hope. There's no big battle left to win, no prophecy to chase. The end? Yeah, that already happened.
And that's the absolute key here. This is not a story about winning a war. It's about what comes after. It's about trying to survive the fallout, to piece together who you even are when everything you ever fought for has been completely, utterly wiped out. So let's talk about this world that's already lost. Who's at the heart of this mess? Meet Helena Marino. She was supposed to be one of the Resistance's star alchemists, a real rising talent. Now, she's a prisoner of war. And what's worse, she's a prisoner inside her own head. She has zero memory of the last, most brutal months of the fight. Her captors are convinced she's hiding something big, a final weapon, a game-changing secret. So what do? They send her to the worst of the worst, one of the most powerful and ruthless necromancers in the whole regime, a guy called the High Reeve. And that's where the real story kicks off. It becomes this intense psychological battle of wills. He's desperate to dig those secrets out of her mind, and she's fighting to protect a past she doesn't even know she has.
All right, to really get this world, you have to understand its magic. The entire conflict, everything, is built on this fundamental clash between two massive forces, alchemy versus necromancy.
And what's so cool here is that these aren't just, spells and potions. They're political ideologies. Alchemy, that was the magic of the fallen resistance. It's all about an individual's unique connection, their resonance with metal. It's personal. Necromancy, on the other hand, that's the horrifying power tool of the winners. They literally use souls and dead bodies to create an undead labor force, cementing their corrupt power. So it's not just magic versus magic, it's creation versus total desecration. Okay, so what is it about this book that has people so hooked? Why is its fan base growing so fast? When you dig into what readers are saying, it really boils down to three core things. First up, it's the unflinching way it deals with war trauma. Second, the world building is just incredibly deep. And third, it has this really fascinating backstory, starting life as a huge fan fiction before becoming its own thing. Yeah, this book completely sidesteps the typical hero's journey. There are no grand speeches or moments of glory. Instead, all the emotional punch comes from digging into the raw, psychological damage war does to the people who survive it. It's way less about battlefield heroics and way more about the soul-crushing guilt and the awful choices you have to make just to see another day. And this is where its history gets really interesting. The author, Senlin Yu, was already a legend in fanfiction circles for a story called Manacled. What Alchemized does so brilliantly is it takes that proven emotional core, the character dynamics that everyone loved, and transplants it into a completely new, original fantasy world. It's got its own complex magic, its own politics. It's just a fascinating evolution seeing an idea transform like that. Okay, now we need to pause because this is absolutely crucial. Before you even think about picking up this book, you have to understand this story is not for everyone. And I mean that. It goes to some incredibly dark places. The reviews and the author themselves are very, very clear about this. The book has graphic, explicit depictions of torture, war crimes, forced pregnancy and reproduction programs, body mutilation, and mass murder. And these aren't just hinted at. They are central to the plot and the atmosphere of the world. Please take these warnings seriously. And beyond those really heavy themes, there are a couple of other things you should know. For some readers, the first few chapters can feel like a bit of an info dump, with a lot of dense world building right at the start. Also, and this is a big one, while there is a romance plot, this is a dark fantasy novel first. If you're going in looking for a sweet, healing, or super spicy romance, you are going to be disappointed. That is not what this book is. All right, so with all of that on the table, the bleak world, the complicated characters, and those very serious warnings, let's try and figure out if Alchemized is a book you should add to your list. It really all comes down to this one simple question. Is this particular flavor of darkness for you?
So, you should absolutely read Alchemized if you love characters who are morally gray. I mean, we're talking shades of black and charcoal here. If you geek out on complex magic systems and deep political intrigue, you'll be in heaven. If you're looking for stories that really truly grapple with war trauma and survivor's guilt, this is your book. It's dark fantasy that's all about the plot, not just the spice. And of course, if you loved the emotional journey of Manacled, think of this as its spiritual successor in a whole new universe.
But on the flip side, you should probably give this one a pass if you prefer more hopeful stories with clear-cut heroes. If you're in the mood for a light, sweet, or healing kind of romance, this ain't it. If you like fast-paced plots that jump right into the action without a ton of world building, you might find this one a bit slow at the start. And, most importantly, if you know you're sensitive to any of the triggers we talked about, it's really best to choose something else.
In the end, Alchemized leaves you chewing on one single haunting question that echoes through every single chapter. It's not about what it costs to win, because winning was never on the table. Instead, it forces you, and its characters, to ask, what is the true cost of survival?